Coach, we'll start with Ross Trail. Why don't you comment on how he looked?
Again, it's hard to say a whole lot, until you really evaluate it. But obviously I thought he did a great job at commanding the huddle. Again, I saw energy. And that's not, we talked about leadership and all the things that those guys have done and grown through the summer and through spring. I think the thing we saw tonight was the energy, a little bit of that passion, the competitive nature that, is there, but you just never quite see it sometimes in practice. And there's a lot of things going on in their minds, but to come out to let it fly and to see that competitive nature, I think that's what I was most excited about.
You're talking about Ross?
Talking about Ross. So that's why it's a battle. And some people think that it's a clear-cut thing, and the reality is, we got to put these guys on display, and we got to put them out in front of the situations that make it most difficult, because that's what a game's really like, and see how they can handle it, see what kind of energy and passion they can bring, not just themselves but the people around them.
So is that the best he's looked this summer?
Again, from being out here and without watching the thing, I think he threw the ball really well tonight. I think he took care of the ball really well. That's the most energy and things I've seen the guys kind of respond to him. So there's a lot of things I'm excited about.
Does it tell you something about him that he was really good in the spring game, and then you come out here with the lights on again and he turns it up again?
I think it does, and then I think that's when sometimes you wonder why those guys really like him so much. And I'm not saying they like him better than anybody else, but they respect him because of the way he works, and obviously because of the competitive spirit and the competitive nature that he has. And sometimes we as coaches don't get to see some of that. Those guys know those guys best.
When would you like to make a decision on your starting quarterback?
I'd like to have made it in the spring, or when we walked in the door, it would have been real easy. But I think it's going to make us better, and that's the way we got to look at it. The competitive nature, whether it's at the quarterback position or who's going to be the guys up front, it's going to make us all better. I know sometimes that people say the mentality and they got to know, and there's some things we will, but to continue to have a competitive nature, competitive battles. Is going to continue to push guys. This is a process, and we got to play our best ball at the end of the year. And how do you do that? By getting better each and every week. And this thing isn't going to be made in one spring. So we got to continue to push them and find ways for those guys to compete.
Defense started out great. Maybe the offense started out not so great. I don't know. But what do you think of the defense?
Again, it's when you get so high, sometimes it's hard to maintain that. And I think you saw that in the first two series, and then it kind of lets down. And it's a game of emotion. If you got it, you got to keep it. If you don't have it, you got to find a way to get it. And I think they started out fast, and then you saw the offense kind of rebound and respond. And I think the biggest thing I looked at is, I wrote down a couple of times, is you make big plays, and it doesn't have to be an 80-yard touchdown. You get one of those 12, 14-yard runs, you get one of those 18, 20-yard passes, next thing you know, there's points on the board. And they're not just from the big play, but it's the momentum, the things that generate. I know we put up a stat, I think 92% of the points that we scored last year, where I was basically there was a big play at every one of those. There's the methodical 5 yards, 4 yards, 3 yards, 6 yards, 8 yards. With the way the game is and how momentum is very difficult.
How good does it make you feel looking out there and seeing a redshirt freshman and a freshman running back both ripping off those big plays in terms of the future?
I think we got some depth there. I really do. And you're going to see those guys. The thing that yes, you saw them run tonight. That was what was impressive. We've seen it kind of all camp. We haven't been live in camp, but you've seen the way they've gone about special teams and the things that we ask them to do. And you're like, well, I think those guys are ball players. They're gamers. And I told you that was going to be the strength of what we had, one of the strengths of what we had, and we're going to have to rely on them.
Is it more of a strength beyond Mike now that you've seen those two guys even more?
It really can be. And again, we know it's got to happen up front to start with. But I know they can make those guys a lot better too. When they can make people miss and they can do some things when they get an opportunity, and we don't have to block every single one of them. So again, what's great about it is it creates some more competition. And we don't have to rely on Mike Boone to carry the ball maybe 35, 40 times a game. That's not the best thing for us and for the longevity of what we're trying to do.
Up front, you talked about having 7 guys. Did we kind of see those 7 guys tonight? Those guys
I think we did. I think we kind of went into this thing trying to say, hey, let's see if these are the 7 guys, and now we got to find a way to create that chemistry. And that's kind of what I talked about after this. This was a great first week at Higher Ground, and there was a lot of things that we accomplished. But this next week coming up here is about us. How do we really kind of start to gel together and find that chemistry, whether it's the 5 guys, 6 guys, 7 guys up front, the 6 guys. I think we're going to play with 8 guys, 9 guys on the defense line. But if they can't get out here and play, it's really hard to build that chemistry and things and know who you can count on.
As a coach, how do you feel about players who maybe don't practice very well, but when the lights go on, they play well, but don't coaches pretty usually like players to show what they can do in practice?
I don't know many of those guys. You won't find a whole lot of those guys because if they can't show us what they can do in practice, it's really hard to say they're going to put them out there. You've had those guys. Well, coach, I'm a gamer. Well, you're not going to make it to the game because we don't see it, you know. And I think the way today is, it's really hard to, you know, as much pressure and stress as these guys are on, to say, hey, let's just throw him out there and see if he's a gamer. Now, there's all those kind of guys that practice well and, you know, are good players. All of a sudden the lights pop on and wow, they go to a different level. So.
Well, my point is Ross one of those guys who doesn't practice so well?
Well, I don't know that he doesn't practice well, but you know, I think he does practice well. But he might be one of those guys. I mean, I've had him before that, you know, some guys kind of when the lights go on, they do tense up and tighten up. And there's some guys when the lights go on, the more lights that are on, the better they play. And you know, I mean, that's something that's, you know, I don't know, it's always taught. It's something that's deep down inside.
So you could live with that if you had to?
I can live with it if he practices really well and then he goes out and plays better. But those guys that think that they, you know, hey, they're going to save their energy and they're going to be gamers, those aren't the guys you lay your head on a pillow at night wanting to rest your program on.
Was Hayden a little dinged up?
He did. He got dinged up. You know, I thought he was doing some good things, and I don't know what happened. I didn't see it. Hurt his hip and didn't feel like he could move as well. And I got to go in and find out because that's the only report I got. I said, well, let's see if he can push it and go, and it just wasn't right.